Morning,
Morning,
Bones.
Padre. So, have you looked into the Democrat reform and restructure at all?
Well, what I've been seeing is a lot of frustration among the Democratic politicians with their own party. Their rating has definitely dropped, and there seems to be a lot of turmoil from within. They're losing a lot of the races. They're projected to lose some House seats, and there's just a lot of frustration there.
The Democrat Party's in a big struggle for survival. Not saying it won't be there in the future, but they are looking at making some major changes inside the party. Um, what I've been reading is the Democrats that are in charge or the upper echelon of the Democrat Party wants to kind of fade away from the far left liberal side um, to focus on a more structured program for the future, adopting things that are being done right now by the current party that's in charge, adopting some of their strategies for the future.
Oh, kind of if you can't beat them, join them thing, huh?
Well, yeah, I guess, from our point of view, we can look at it like that. From their point of view, it's a new idea. Um,
Well, and the thing is that a lot of the Democratic politicians that are having the issues, their big struggle, and they've hit the nail right on the head, is they have no plan. They have no strategy. Their whole strategy has been hate Trump. Their whole strategy has they've brought nothing to the table, but just that hatred. They haven't introduced any new plans. They haven't, the plans that you do hear from the far left are all things that are based on Marxism, socialism, and like you said, far left. And a lot of those politicians are having a hard time swallowing it, especially watching the success that the current party is having in all of their endeavors right now. It's got to be a little frustrating.
and I think a lot of jealousy involved, Um, they said a lot of things. The way I look at it, there was a lot of things promised, but no action taken towards fulfillment of those promises. As far as the Democrat administrations have gone, and there's a lot of things that have been hidden uh, that they did hidden from the general public. And a lot of people are fed up. Even some Democrats fed up with that. Where the current party's more open than I've seen in my lifetime as far as a government uh, party goes, Republican Party or Democrat Party goes. Um, so then you do that, you go on a more open book, it puts you up to ridicule, which we witness every day. Um, Now there are some that are inside the Democrat Party that see some value in what is going on, and they want to try to implement um, this into their future for their party, which is not a bad thing. I can't say it's a bad thing, but
Right. Well, what it could lead to is cooperation among the parties because, again, as you pointed out, the secrecy was a big part of the downfall. Not just the secrecy, but now the things that are coming out as a result of their accusations, and then these unsealed documents, things that are coming out, criminal acts. Uh, you got one side of the party complaining about immigration while the research shows that Democratic presidents have actually deported more than Trump has. He just did it into the silence of night rather than upfront and transparent. So many of the speeches from your former Democratic presidents and leaders in their campaign speeches were promising, as you stated, promising the same things, and yet now they're being done, and the public is being made aware that they're being done. It's promises made, promises kept is the mantra here. Uh, Nobody saw anything being done with the others, and a lot of the promises that were made were actually contradicted in previous administrations. Life got worse. Uh, the Obamacare thing. I know that always stuck in my craw. We're going to make you have health insurance, or we're going to penalize you more than it would have cost you to just get the health insurance. Uh, you
Yeah, there's
know,
a lot of folks that I worked with that had large families that struggled severely because of that. It's not like the premiums in the private industry. Premiums for medical insurance are astronomical.
right,
Yeah. So now you're mandated to pay those prices.
right, and so it seemed, to me, there was a lot of dictator type things coming out under those administrations.
Oh,
You look at the Biden
you mean like you
administration,
mean you mean like a king?
something like that. Yeah. The
Wow.
Biden administration, man, you got to have a letter saying you're an essential employee just to go to work. You had to carry that letter with you. Papers, show me your papers. Uh,
Yeah, I drew a swastika on mine.
yeah, locked down at home. Don't leave your house. Um, they were seeing, felt like they were seeing what they could get away with. And it just never sat well with me. Um, Common sense, and I thought we were a free country. It sure didn't feel that way during a lot of those years, and now
Right.
it's power to the
Yeah,
people.
yeah. Yeah, the people should be empowered as it states in the Constitution. The first words in the Constitution. Can you recite those words?
Yeah, we the people,
Uh-huh. We the people,
we the people, in
right? What is
order to form a better union.
Yeah, yeah. So that's where it should be. That's how the United States was set up, and that's how it should be.
I'm the government of the people, by the people, for the people, and we've all learned these things as we went, and we got away from that. Uh, I think the downfall began when dishonesty and secrecy in politics was discovered back during the Vietnam War in the mid 60s. Distrust for government. People realized, oh my God, the government's lying. They're doing things behind our back that we may not want done. Uh,
Right.
it
Right.
started coming to the surface, and it seems that it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. And so, this administration's vow of transparency and getting rid of those things that the American people do not want, striving to give the power back to the people. Their popularity has soared. I've seen approval ratings as high as 57% coming out for the
Yeah.
current administration, while the
Yeah.
Democratic Party has dropped in popularity even down into the mid to low 20%.
Yeah. In some areas, that's true. I think on average, it's in the upper 30s, but don't quote me on that. I think I read that someplace. But you know, taking a look at it all, you go from history because I like history. I don't know about everybody else, but I like history. And you and I have
Mm-hmm.
talked about it many times. But take a look at John F. Kennedy, who was a real popular president on both sides, both parties,
Right.
back in the early 60s. Everybody liked JFK. Um, so we go from ask not what you can or what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Be a part of it. We the people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we went from that to I don't work for you.
Exactly. Exactly. And the bumbling politics during the 4 years of the last administration under Joe Biden was nothing but an embarrassment to the Democratic Party. You had a president that was nothing but a figurehead. He had mental issues. He was in mental decline, falling upstairs in front of the public. Uh, couldn't even read his teleprompter. We've now found out the majority of his things were handled by an auto pen. That who knows who was controlling that. And
Yeah, we can speculate all day long about who was actually in charge, but
right.
I believe it was more than one person in charge of the U.S. during the Biden administration, more than one person running the auto pen and so on.
Well, right.
Um,
And then coming into the 2024 election, rather than holding a primary to see who their candidate was going to be, they just appointed Kamala Harris to be
yeah,
their
yeah,
candidate.
they
There was no
they
no
shoe
primary elections.
yeah, old school. They shoehorned her ass right in there.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
it
here you go.
it was a
Vote for
miserable
Kamala.
failure for them. Yeah, miserable failure for them. And then the things that start coming out about former administrations and the alleged uh, collusion for the Russia hoax, and the corruption in the former administrations is starting to come out. Man, it can't be a good time to be sitting somewhere saying I'm part of the Democratic Party as a politician. Uh, we talked in another conversation about guilt by association. I don't know how some of these people can sit there with a straight face and listen to what their party is touting and even pretend to support it.
You know, if you look at the videos of the Congress, the meetings of the Congress and stuff with the sides, they do have separation of sides, the Republican side, the Democrat side. But you look at the somberness, straight-faced, starry-eyed bullshit going on in the Democrat Party, not flinching, not moving, not showing any emotion as the administration presents what's coming and what's going on for vote,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So it's choreographed in my mind. I bet there's
Well,
some people that are sitting there going, "This is fucking bullshit,"
well, of
and
course,
they're
one of the Congress meetings, they decided they knew what the subject was going to be and decided to hold a congressional protest, and they all wore in the same color dresses and clothing,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
sat and refused to talk. Um,
yeah,
what are we in junior high? Come on now. You're supposed to be
yeah,
professional congressmen that are representing people and constituents, and this is how you're doing it
right,
by just arguing and going against anything that's presented.
right,
It
right.
must really hurt to now turn around and be watching all of the successes. And I'm not talking about little successes. I'm talking about huge successes being
Yeah,
accomplished by this administration, and know that you were sitting there going, oh, that's a stupid idea. We're not going to go for that.
Yeah, who thought of that? Um, I can't not believe that it was programmed and choreographed and presented, and there would be penalties if you spoke out the way it looked.
Oh, absolutely.
Um,
And when one does speak out, oh my goodness, the kickback that comes toward them is from their own party. They're eating each other alive right now.
yeah, they are, and that's why there are some good people with good minds, good intent that are in the Democrat Party, and those are the people that are striving for a complete reform of the party. And it's pretty vague as far as who these people are, but I don't think they want to put themselves on the platform right now because of what we just said.
Right.
Their families will get ridiculed, or you know um I just say what I say is grow some balls. Let's get this done.
Right. You're put in that position to stand up and speak the voice of your constituents. And if you can't stand up and speak that, you're in the wrong line of work.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I think that's why the voters are getting kind of tired of it.
Yep.
They're getting tired of hearing about the illegal acts committed by their representatives. They're tired of what's being put out to the public as to what they want. You look as far as New York City, the big press over Zoran Mondami and winning that Democratic race and how he's going to turn that city into you know flat communism. Outlandish platforms he ran on, and the first thing that comes out is, oh man, if he's elected, there'll be mass exodus. But I'm kind of proud of the people in New York right now because they've now been counter protesting that, and there was a huge rally in the streets. New York
Yeah,
citizens saying, no, no, this is
yeah.
not what we want.
Back when we talked about Zoran, we made the clip on Zoran.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you recall, we both were at awe at to how this person is presenting this kind of crap to the American people, and they wouldn't accept it. We already said that. We said that he'll get shut down. The people ain't gonna take this.
Right.
If you're an American, you're not gonna take it.
Exactly. And it looks like that's exactly what's happening now is they're standing up and saying, oh no, 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 no. New York City is not going to be known for this joker. We're not going to be known as the city that brought this in. And the citizens are standing up in mass, making their voices heard.
Good. That's what should happen inside the Democrat Party.
Exactly.
Yeah. You see it happening on and off and on here in the Trump administration with political political people taking a stand and slam dunking stuff that really isn't an American. This is not what we do. This is not legal. This is not lawful. This is not, so we got people standing up, and we need that to happen in the Democrat Party. I'm all for keeping the Democrat Party if they can become reasonable and try to play along. It takes more than one to make a good decision.
Right. If the Democratic Party could actually look at the ideas, put their input in, and let's all work together to make this the best it can be for the American people, instead of standing on the sidelines booing everything that happens. The thing that, like you mentioned, even within the Republican Party, there are politicians that are willing to stand up and say, wait a minute, we're questioning this idea. Why don't we take a better look at it? Or why don't we shut this one down and look at something else? Within the Republican Party, this should be what the Democratic Party is doing. Is,
Correct.
hey, come on, guys, we like the general concept, but this needs to be revised before we actually throw it up for a vote, before we actually implement it. But you're not getting that type of bipartisan cooperation.
Right. Um, it's like a leader in my mind, you take the people and you get the ideas of the people and you make a collective decision
Mm-hmm.
on what's unless you can envision that they're jumping off a cliff and you step in lightly and say maybe we ought to turn this a little bit, take another look.
Mm-hmm.
That's my idea.
And I would
That's on my
agree.
idea. My idea on how to handle that, not my idea, right?
Right.
But
Well, it
um,
was, and I'm pretty sure it was Gandhi that was one of the great leaders. And when he would assemble his council, he would always speak last. He would sit silent and listen to what everybody had to say, let them argue amongst themselves, and then he would speak his conclusion based on the culmination of the best ideas and put the best plan together. He didn't have to think of anything on his own. He
right.
relied upon
Um,
his people to come up with the ideas, and then he threw it together in the best plan. He organized.
yeah, it's a process of elimination. You get some things that are just not not accomplishable in conversations, but even those when I would conduct meetings for decision, even those got written on the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, for one remembers, we were talking about growth, and one says, well, let's just talk about the universe and outer space. We can blah 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 this, and I knew that was impossible, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I put it on the board anyway.
Well, yeah.
Um, everything's written down, so we went through, started eliminating, got to that one, and the majority is like, what does everybody think about this idea? So they talked about it, and we are exploring space, but we can't do it from our facility.
Right.
We don't have the capabilities, so I don't believe that's even a viable um, conversation, right? I
Mm-hmm.
said, so I just looked out, said, so it's eliminated, and everybody said, yeah, so scratch that one out.
Right.
But that's how it goes. You don't dismiss it. You take a look at it, let everybody have their input on it. That way it's a collective decision.
Right. As it should be. And um, just the decline and the dissension within that party at this point, um, you're seeing press saying the Democratic Party is imploding. This is the end of the Democratic Party. They're doomed. It will no longer exist. Uh, they've got to come around. They've got to come around. The American people are getting a taste of what it feels like to be an American again.
Right.
They're not
So
going to
now,
tolerate any less.
now I believe that, just after what you said, and this is what I've thought all along, I believe that the Democratic Party will survive. And why will it survive? Because the people that are inside the Democratic Party, and I'm talking about we the people
Mm-hmm.
that believe in the USA, support America, and try to push the laws that are in place, and stand on the right side of things. those are the people that are going to change the Democrat Party, and we'll get back to reason. We'll have reason between the parties. Now, that's my prediction. That's what I think, not what I know.
But and I would agree with you, Bones. I would say again, the people are tired of the way things are going. And like the citizens of New York, they're going to stand up. And the way that this is going to be changed, and if the Democratic Party is to survive, it's going to be through elections by the people. They're going to put Democratic leaders in place that are reasonable, that are progressive, that want to cooperate, that can be part of those discussions. That's where the change is going to happen if that party is to survive.
I think that's where it's at, Padre.
And I would agree with you, Bones. And I guess we'll keep our eyes open and see what happens. I know there are some midterms coming up in some of the lower elections. We'll see if that prediction holds true or if the Republican Party just sweeps it. And that could be a dangerous thing. As much as I like the policies they're doing, with nobody there to keep checks and balances,
Yeah, you got to have that. You got to
would,
have the check.
yeah, that would
Gotta
not
have
be
that.
good. So that's the
I'd say,
prediction from Bones and Padre Havoc.
yeah, move forward, Democrats, with a positive party. Stay positive, everybody.